Holocaust Memories Never Forget. A Gentile baby boomer's painful journey into the Shoah. Section 6. Brutalste Gewalt. Brutal Violence. Part 31. From the 1st of January 1943 until the end of the war, May 1945. Here are more war and Holocaust-related events which took place in the late summer and fall of 1944. On the 17th of August, the Allies liberated Drancy Detention Center near Paris, where only 1,542 Jews were still found alive. On the 19th of August, an insurrection against the occupying Germans began in Paris. On the 20th of August, the Germans shipped 168 Allied airmen to Buchenwald concentration camp, a blatant disregard of the Geneva Convention, which prohibited treating POWs in such a way. Buchenwald's camp commander planned to shoot them all in late October, but the senior officer of these airmen, New Zealand pilot Phil Lamison, found a way of contacting an officer in the Luftwaffe at a nearby airbase, and this officer arranged to transfer the entire group to a POW camp barely 1 week before their scheduled execution. In the French town of Maillet-Indre-et-Loire, an attack was initiated in late August against the Germans by partisans working with the FFI, the French underground. On the 25th of August, a Waffen-SS unit entered this town, executed 124 men, women, and children, then destroyed all the buildings, homes, and several nearby farms. On the 26th of August, General Charles de Gaulle triumphantly led Free French troops and armor into Paris along the Champs-Élysées. On the 2nd of September, Anne Frank and her family were put on the last transport out of Westerbork, which arrived at Auschwitz II-Birkenau 3 days later. The Allies took Brussels, Belgium. The Soviets liberated Prague, Czechoslovakia. The nation of Luxembourg was liberated. The first V-2 rockets hit England. The Communists took over Bulgaria and declared war on Germany. The Allies entered Athens, Greece. Dutch Jews were deported to Germany as slave laborers to be used in various armament factories. On the 17th of September, Operation Market Garden was initiated. Planned by British General Montgomery, it was the largest airborne assault in history and was expected to shorten the war considerably by creating a solid route directly to Berlin through the Netherlands. Unfortunately, the operation failed miserably and caused significant Allied losses. See the movie A Bridge Too Far. Beginning on the 17th of September and not ending until mid-November, up to 6,000 mostly Jewish slave laborers who were working at the Bor copper mine in German-controlled Yugoslavia were forced to march toward Hungary ahead of the approaching Soviet army. Already weak and undernourished, thousands of these prisoners died along the way from exposure to the cold, a lack of food and water, and being shot for failing to keep up the brutal pace. During this death march, a brilliant young Hungarian named Miklos Radnóti was executed with more than a dozen others. When his body was exhumed a year later, his notebook containing many poems was found in his clothes. Once the contents of his notebook and the extent of his creative genius were recognized, Radnóti was honored as one of Hungary's most famous martyrs and poets. On the 28th of September, Prime Minister Winston Churchill approved the creation of the Jewish Brigade, also known as the Palestine Regiment, which was made up of 5,000 or more Jewish men from Mandate Palestine. The Jewish Brigade entered the war in northern Italy in early 1945 and fought with exceptional courage against the Germans.